Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back. The community post tab has recently opened up on YouTube, and I've been posting there some questions, some quiz, some stuff for you guys, so I could better connect with you, all of my viewers out there, and find out what it is that you need or you enjoy watching. So, a lot of people said that they want a build guide for artillery. And some also said that they want a new hero lineup guide after all the updates and stuff. So the latter one I've been waiting for, myself. I pushed it back because I want Season X to be done so I can just make a better comprehensive ranking than what we're stuck with right now. But for the artillery guide, I am here, and today we will be doing that. So first off, we're going to start from heroes, hero combinations, best hero lineups for which situations, and hopefully this is helpful to all of you out there. So starting off with heroes, I'm just gonna say this guy, Animox, he is the heart of your artillery. This guy is a must. And that's because Animox has the largest purge, which helps you, overcome your disarm. Without him, you will be suffering at the hands of basically everybody else. You would suffer from other art mains as well, because Animox gives the ability to attack twice each turn, and that is a huge advantage. If you know, you know. So the first thing is you need to get Animox and level him up to the max, put him inside your march. Second thing, so from Season X we have Floranis. Floranis is really good because, in my opinion, this is a dot type character. Dot, for those who don't know, is damage over time. And this isn't a burst sort of damage, it's the sort of damage that lasts even after she dies, which in some cases she does end up dying before the other two people in your team, but she's still damaging people even after that, and that is something that's really quite interesting that I've seen happen. So Floranis does not need a lot of combat speed, but she does provide combat speed. Since this is a dot character, she would end up attacking regardless. The vines are something that gets triggered start of every round regardless. So CS wise, you don't need to hard focus her Mgear set, but I'll get to Mgear after I'm done talking about the hero lineups. And the third one is Sintra. Currently Sintra got a buff, and this kind of made her jump up in the rank. She used to be below Sophia and below Baki, but both of them are now weaker than her, which is quite surprising. I don't know why the devs decided to do this. This is a Season 0 character. The huge buff that they gave her is a bit strange, but nonetheless, the best lineup right now is Animox, Floranis, and Sintra. So this is the hard artillery lineup, and for the matrices, you want to put your Animox with special combat directive, right? Because this gives his leadership skill more of a chance to trigger. The special combat makes sure that your hero attacks twice. Already Animox is already a killing machine, so he also has that passive. So this is the best thing to boost him. Special combat was made for this character. Moving on to Floranis. Now, you could go special combat with her, but I recommend that you go outburst directive, alright? So you have this 15% chance to trigger the disarm resistance. Even though Animox is helping, this will further help you. Just leave it on, and the passive crits from 23% is also a very good thing. So I have also a 9.6 from here, so basically that's giving me more than 30% crit chance, and that's a really good chance for her to crit on her vines, So I did talk with Lexi about this, and she told me that crit damage applies to anything and everything, any sort of damage. So the vines do crit, and the crits bring more heal. So that's something that you might want to, experiment with. But the reason why I'm saying she is good with outburst and not with special combat is because the vines have a limit of triggering. If you put special combat on this hero, you will see in the log of your character that the vines hit a cap after a certain time, and any other vine that is triggering after that is just failing to trigger altogether. It's not going to transfer to the next round, it's just going to fail to trigger. So even with outburst, I have reached the trigger limit thanks to Animox being in my team. So I don't need special combat on Floranis. And for Sintra, I am running Outburst Directive Array again with this disarm thingy, because she is dealing huge amounts of damage. You need to make sure that she does not get disarmed. Again, 23% crit from here, and this Mgear of mine is giving like a 30%, so I have more than a 50% chance on Sintra to trigger a crit. Aside from that, the massive amount of burst damage Sintra is bringing and the boost to damage she is giving to the other two heroes, in my opinion, this makes her a really good character in this lineup and build. So now let's talk about the Mgears and which hero should get which Mgear. So starting out with the Floranis, if you haven't watched my Mgear video that I put out, I recommend that you guys go and watch that first, because that's the base principle of everything. Whether you're a art main, you're a tank main, you're an infantry main, that's the basics. So you need to know those before we go into this. Now the reason why I have skill penetration here is because skill penetration for the weapon is the best stat, hands down. The weapon does not have combat speed. This 2-star attributes, you're never going to get combat speed on that. Skill penetration, if you get that with another gold stat like skill attack or crit strike, keep that. Okay, you can't like, the ideal scenario would be if this was skill attack, but it's not. It's crit strike, so I'm making it work still, and it's good. Okay, it's good. The next one is increase all damage dealt. Now arguably on this is the claw, like the thing that goes on the hand, or you could call it the gauntlet, or whatever piece you want to call it. I call it that. Ideal scenario would be to have at least one combat speed star attribute here, and increase all damage dealt attributes with that, so you would get like that to be the best Mgear. But I'm making this work with increase all damage dealt twice, because in the beginning I told you CS is not that important for Floranis. So if you're increasing her overall damage dealt, you're also bringing in more healing. For this one, I would recommend that you go for at least one CS stat. It does drop on the armor, and skill resist stat instead of these two. This one, my Mgear on her, this Mgear is shit on Floranis. I still need to replace this. These are really shit stats. They're not a good example. I would say on the bottom side you should have skill resist, on the upper side you could have combat speed. That would be the ideal one. For the shoes, skill attack and combat speed are the best pull for artillery, hands down. Okay, this one could not get better for me, and that's the build I would say you should go for on your Floranis. So on your Animox, we have, this is a shit one, I must say. I would still reload this to a skill penetration and skill attack stat. Here I used a tank piece to increase the amount of combat speed Animox has. Animox is must to have high combat speed, so that in your team he is the one to always attack first. This is important because every time Animox would attack first, any debuffs that are going to happen on your other characters, they would get purged, and that's why he needs to move first. So you need to give him as much combat speed as you can. So on the claws, we have a combat speed stat, increase all damage dealt stat, which is a good pull, And then for thermal conversion, we also have combat speed stat, increase all damage dealt. So that's 2 CS stats. I need another CS stat here, which means I need to re-roll the boots for him to make it like at least 3 CS stats on Animox, and then max out the stars. That would build a very good Animox for me. That would ensure that my team gets purged of debuffs before they move and don't end up getting disarmed. Then on Sintra, now my decision on her was the crit strike build. So if you have 2 crit strikes, then you could go for this build. But if you don't, I'd recommend that you go for a skill penetration and skill attack one. Both are good. Here I would say you should have a skill damage and a combat speed one. If you can pull that, that's godly. Here is a combat speed one. The second stat is something I have to win against other artillery marches, but I think this could have been better if the game decided to give me increase all damage dealt instead, but I got this second stat. It's not that good. The last one, of course, is skill attack and combat speed, and like I said, at least 2 CS stats needs to be on Sintra for her to outperform another Sintra from the enemy team. So that's the Mgears done. Now we move on to the T frame. So which T frame is ideal for artillery? I would say personally it's this one, Crimson Blaze. This is a war type T frame, and artillery is just based on damage. This guy, he also gives you a bit of a stat boost from just his tree, so I think that's pretty good. The other thing to note is the benchmark for SYP level for artillery should be 96. You need this 100 plus combat speed, otherwise everybody else is just gonna tank you based on combat speed, and that really sucks because their Mgears suck and you're losing to people like that because they spent money. But so I would recommend that you at least get the 8 level 10 boxes every single week. Grind for those as hard as you can and get your levels up to 16 on all of these, and you will have SYP 96. The next thing is the accessory interface. So on these ones you want to have a star attribute like this. I have marching speed, artillery health, artillery defense on one, and I have artillery attack, artillery health, and marching speed on the second. So this could be better if I got like 2 artillery attacks, because the attack stat, the more you boost it, the better it is, and artillery health is by default really low. So artillery attack, just go and be a glass cannon, man. Now for the accessory interface, I am using separated massive blade. You could use something else. This is like a default thing for artillery builds, because it's giving you the physical damage boost. The static high temperature cutter, this is for infantry or tanks. This is for artillery. So this is like a baseline. It's neither bad nor good. It's just there. These days turbocharge sucks, so I'm just leaving it behind. What I recommend that you go for is the energy converter. Once you get this to level 5, you want to place this inside of your T-frame. Currently I'd say this or this, it's giving me the same amount of results, but the energy converter, it's better if I put even a level 4 against in INF marches. For anything else, it just kind of sucks. So yeah, this should be your end goal, the energy converter. After level 5, just replace it into your march. If you don't have that, the next best option is the force field generator. Get this up to level 10. Even though it's a T defense, it does a lot. So on level 10, I'm assuming gives a 6k healthier and 5% defense to both your physical and elemental, and that's really good for you. So that's it for the T-frame part. Now we go to the Meteorite Lab and what you should do here. So the Graviton Cannon, I recommend that you get the middle stats all up to 10. This infantry thing I have up to 10 as well, because this is the point I want to reach. Okay, we need the 50 plus combat speed from this tree. That gives us a solid 50% more on our foundation. The other stuff you could take your time with, but then we go into Cerebral Amp or the Galactic Resonator, either of these two, okay? So for the Cerebral Amp, I'd say this is for the seasonal stuff. This is for the battlefields. You can see I have at least these 3 things maxed out, so I have more troops when I'm in battlefields, and the reason for that is that nobody likes to help you when you're out on a battlefield. You'll feel that you're on your own. Basically, whales don't bother with you, and in the seasonal stuff, people will still help you out. So this is why I went for the Galactic Resonator. There is one more reason, but we'll discuss that some other day. So I haven't reached the tier 5 on my city hall. When I do, we can have a look inside the last node of the artillery stuff. So that's all from me today on your artillery. Now just a few more tips, right? These are tips that I would say may or may not work for you. In case that you are stuck in a battle with, let's say, a similar infantry march, if you have a Magni that's like 4-star 9999 and it needs, you know, this last piece of the puzzle, then this is a functional Magni you can use against other infantry marches to, you know, survive better. I would recommend that you replace Magni with either the Sintra or the Floranis. Keep the Animox in there, and that should give you a better chance to survive against infantry marches, not artillery marches. Do not test him on other artillery marches. This is the best artillery lineup you could go for. For hard artillery, you could try replacing Floranis with Sophia, because she also gives you a passive combat speed stat, so you know, you could end up killing their heroes before they kill yours. So that's all for today. Have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys around.